This is Mr. Stauffer, and today what we're looking at is the document that you can find on Moodle that describes and deals with the formal outline for your oral communication speeches that require an outline. So we're going to talk to you about the setup, the format, some of the basic expectations as I take you through this particular document. First of all, you'll notice up here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll have a header that will include your last name and the page number. This will be found in the top margin of your paper. And just a reminder of how you set this up, you will go to the Insert tab on your computer, and it will have you, when you go over here to where it says header and footer, click on that, and it gives you the options of header, footer, and page number. You'll click on page number. Once you do that, it will give you the option for top of page, and then you might not be able to see it on your screen, but that'll show you some options, and the plain number 3 option is the option that you will want for that. That will give you the page number up here at the top, and then you will have to type in your last name and put a space so that we don't confuse the 1 for an L. Then you'll double click below the line that it gave you for that top margin header, and you will type in the upper left hand corner the following information. You will type in your name, Mr. Stauffer as your instructor, and then your oral comm section that you were in. Now in standard MLA format, the 4th line deals with the date, and because our speeches are all given on different days, and that's not as important to me in this particular class, the one exception I make is that instead of the date, I want you to put the type of speech that you are giving, whether it is a shield speech or an information speech or a how-to speech. That's what I would like to have typed into that 4th line. Then for your title, you will come up with an interesting and unique title with regards to the topic that you have selected or what you are doing for your speech. The first word should be capitalized, and then the important words throughout the rest of the title should be capitalized. Words like and of that come in the middle of the title, those do not have to be capitalized, but your important words along with the first word should be capitalized. Then you will notice that as you look at the spacing from your name all the way down the page, everything is a straight up standard double spacing. There is no extra spacing around any of the other lines. After certain lines before you start a next point, there is no extra spacing. And even if you go onto a works cited page that would be in addition to the outline, everything is the same, straight up double spaced. There would be no place where you would have any single spacing or any extra wide spacing on your outline or works cited. Now, this outline is a 2 full-page outline about how to do an outline. So there's information in this outline that you're going to want to read and follow as well. There are, just as a reference point here, the symbols, Roman numerals, capital letters, and numbers, lowercase letters, as you can see in this document, we refer to those as signposts. Now, the first 4 layers of signposts in this outline are what I expect you to follow. If you decide to do a 5th layer, you may choose whatever option you'd like for a 5th layer, but there are still some certain rules that apply. So for the first layer, we will be using Roman numerals. And the Roman numerals in this outline and for your outline are already spoken for. You will label your Roman numerals as introduction, Roman numeral 2 will be body, and Roman numeral 3 you'll see later on will be conclusion. The second layer of signposts in this outline will be capital letters. And another characteristic that you'll notice about the signposts is that no matter where they are at in the outline, they will line up one on top of the other. This is a very easy thing for me to check, as you can easily either take a ruler and do it manually, or you can see it on the screen if you'd like. But the A and the B of the introduction are right above the A, and the other following are consecutive capital letters in the body and then on into the conclusion. The 3rd layer of signposts, you will use standard numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4 are the examples that you can see here. You can see that they all line up on top of each other. And then the 4th layer is lowercase lettering. If you decide to go to a 5th layer in your outline, you are free to use lowercase Roman numerals, bullets, dashes, asterisks, whatever you would like after the fourth layer that I have shown you here. Now, for the introduction, your attention getter needs to be listed here. You do not have to write out word for word what you're using for an attention getter, but I want a specific idea of what you are going to be doing, so that I know that you're not just doing this haphazardly and just going to throw in an interesting story, or here I have startling statement, but that could be anything. You should put specifically in your outline what you're going to do. Here I have kind of a startling statement following the startling statement in quotation marks. The thesis statement, that should be the last thing in your introduction. If you choose to have something in between here as a B, like a bridge statement or something else that you do, that is absolutely fine, but the thesis statement should then be bumped down to the last thing in your intro. The thesis statement in your outline is the only thing that I require to be a complete single sentence. It has direction, it has subject matter, and it also has main points using parallel structure. So those are the characteristics that you want to see and that I want to see in your thesis statement as well. And here I've just noted, just for emphasis, that this is only one sentence. It's not a paragraph, it's not multiple sentences, it is a single sentence. As you move down into the body, you will see this. You can also see it up in the attention getter, but we want our signposts to stick out. That is the whole purpose of the signpost, so that the person following the outline knows exactly where the next point is. So you'll see here in the introduction that the second line, which if somebody were just to type, then the word success would bump all the way over here to the left margin. Well, you want to shift that underneath, so it's underneath the first line of information and the signpost sticks out. So the S in success here for the main point A in the introduction is underneath the A in attention getter, not the A signpost. And then in the thesis statement, you can see with multiple lines, the A for and the A for and are right underneath the T for thesis. So again, the B signpost sticks out very clearly. You can see that also down here in subpoint 3 in the body underneath main point A, that the T in the is right underneath the S in standard. And you will see that that is consistent throughout this particular example. Also, like I said, there are some things that it tells you that you need to think about with your outline as far as font sizes. You may choose Times New Roman as your first option. If you decide to use another default, your computer automatically defaults to some other font. That can be fine as long as you clear that with me. And the same goes for the font size. Here are some things for 3 and 4 we've already talked about that we should see up at the top of your paper, and as far as the title of your outline goes too, and what should happen there. Some other things that I want you to notice here, B talks about this, but it says, B number 1 says stay away from one-word descriptors. That means that, let's say for example, this main point B, I would not just be able to say B tips. I need a phrase or I need some sort of description behind it talking about what that's going to be about. For up here, if I go back up to where it says the subpoint D, date, I cannot just put date. I need to have a description behind it, emphasizing, elaborating a little bit about what I want to have happen there or what I mean by that. Another basic outlining rule that I expect you to follow is that for every 1, you need a 2. For every A, you need a B, etc. This just basically is talking about, with the signposts, you never want to have a 1 all by itself. If you have a 1, logic would dictate that a 2 is going to follow. If you have an A, logic says that a B would naturally follow. If I had here for this subpoint, if I just had an A, then I might as well bump that up and combine that with the number 2 above, because there's no sense in having it by itself. This is a common mistake that people make. But if you have an A, make sure you have a B. You can go as far as A, B, C. You can go all the way through the alphabet if you'd like to, and then do double letters after that. You can go through as many numbers as you want, but please keep in mind you want to balance your points. But for every 1 you need a 2, and for every A you need a B. And even if you go to a 5th layer with asterisks or bullets or lowercase Roman numerals, I expect you to have a pair of them as a minimum instead of 1 just all by itself. Then as you look through here too, it'll also talk to you about making sure that your organizational pattern is evident as you organize this particular outline. Down for main point C, the general expectations for writing assignments, just some very simple things to show the person who's reading your outline that you're taking the time and care and putting in effort into your work that you are producing. Making sure that your paper is the required length or required length is important. If I tell you that I'm looking for a minimum 2 full-page outline, that's what I would expect to see as a minimum. I would not even want to see 1 line short, because when I say that that's a minimum, that's what I would expect everybody to do. So if you're giving me less than the minimum, you're saying that you're not even average with this, and we all know that a C grade is what we consider to be average. So you're looking at a grade below a C if you're giving me a short outline. So please take that into consideration. Make sure that you use spell check, proofread your paper, make sure that there's no typos, it's not sloppy, you haven't written things into it in the last second and haven't made those changes. You've done this beforehand, and you have a polished product that you're turning into me. Make sure that it's not wrinkled, and just make sure that you take care with what you're turning in as your final clean copy. Then another thing here to mention here in the conclusion, and this is a good thing to review, you can see that we have an A and a B in our conclusion, not just one thing. These are required that you have a minimum of 2. The first thing should be a review of your main points, which you can see I've reviewed my main points for my example outline here. I'm not requiring this to be in a full sentence format, but it should be similar to the thesis in that you're talking about the same subject, same direction, same main points, using the same type of parallel structure. Then the second element to your conclusion would be a clincher, where the last statement in some way, shape, or form connects to your opening statement. And that's a nice way to bring the reader and the audience member for your speech full circle. So we don't have to make obvious comments like in conclusion. If you review your points, we know it's your conclusion. We know that you're not going on to something else or something new. The same thing goes at the beginning. Please stay away from obvious comments like in this speech. We all know it's a speech. You don't have to tell us it's a speech. And please try and stay away from things like as I was thinking about what I was going to do for this speech, because we've all gone through that process because we realize that you have a speech here in front of us. So when you're talking about how you're preparing for this, please keep those types of comments out and stay on point, stay focused on the topic at hand. If you have any questions, you need to make sure that you stop in and talk to me. You guys know I have mentioned in class that I will gladly look over anybody's outline beforehand, and I will tell you all the things that you have to fix and check. But it would be great if you had some of these things taken care of beforehand. Asking me to look at something the day of your speech is really not going to be valuable to you or to me, because I'll be giving you last second things that you may not have time to change. So please make sure you do this well in advance so you have time to make the necessary corrections. Remember, ask questions if you have them.